Do you have any idea how hard it is to not be able to help your kid the way that you need to? It's so hard. I have a really hard time with speech therapists or evaluations or whatever when it comes to Jackson. And I'm just feeling really emotional right now, and I just kind of wanted to talk about it openly because I'm very open about Jackson, and I'm very open about my feelings and stuff like this. But I feel like we just went through the evaluation all over again. And they always make me really emotional. Jackson's speech therapist had a baby, and so we got assigned a new one. And she's fine. It's just really hard every time to have somebody come into your home and more or less judge your kid, and more or less judge your parenting, and more or less judge all of that. It doesn't get easier. She had notes on Jackson, but she was more or less there to build rapport with him and to get to know him. There were a lot of things that she said that were really good. For instance, we talked more about sensory processing disorder because Jackson, which I've talked about before, he's very sensory seeking. So he needs to be thrown in the air and compressed and played with and get energy out. Like, those kinds of things help to regulate him and stimulate him so that he can be in a better mindset and to learn better. And that taught me a lot. Today actually really taught me a lot as far as the fact that, like, we need to be more active with Jackson and get him to be more active in order to be in a better mindset to learn. That being said, it's really hard as a mom to think about all of the things that you're not doing right. When she says, he needs that stuff, obviously the first thing that goes into my head is I'm not doing that enough. And it's really hard because I have 2 kids and Jackson's 40 pounds. Like, the kind of activity that he wants to do is really hard for me to do. And I don't know the skills that I need, like an occupational therapist would have, to stimulate him and help him in the ways that he needs. And so my way of doing it would be to throw him in the air and to push him on the couch and to jump with him. And it's really hard when I have 2 kids who want my attention, and it's really hard when he's so heavy and it's so physically bearing on me to do that. And like, I'm already thinking all of these things in my head. And then I said, oh, he does a lot of that with Dad when he gets home. And she just said, yeah, well, he needs that during the day too, not just at night when Dad gets home. And I know that she didn't mean it like, oh, you're not doing enough. And she was just telling me, 30 minutes a day after Dad gets home isn't enough for him. And I know that's all she was saying. It's just when you're already in your head about stuff like that and then someone says something like that, it just eats you up. I don't know, like, I already feel like I don't do enough for Jackson. And I know I don't do enough for Jackson. And it's hard because I don't think it's possible for me to do enough for Jackson. And it's really hard because, she talked about he needs his adenoids out. He's probably not sleeping properly. His tonsils need to get taken out. He needs an occupational therapist. He needs a sensory gym. And I've looked into all of these things and they're so expensive. And it's really hard to think, okay, not only am I not doing enough during the day to stimulate him and to help him and have his needs met, I also need to pay for a bunch of stuff that I can't afford. Like, and it's frustrating and it's humiliating to be able to have to sit there and say, I can't afford that. And we have insurance, and our insurance is a very high deductible. And so while our occupational therapy might be covered, we have to meet our deductible, and that's really hard for us to do. And it's it's just really hard to have a kid. Oh, here comes Maddox. Hey. Hi. I know that I was not meant to be attacked. I am not trying to put her down as a speech therapist in any way. I thought she was great, and I think she knew exactly what Jackson needed. I'm not trying to put her down at all. It's just the way that I'm taking it, and I know that I need to relax. I know that a lot of this is my fault, as in there's just already so much mom guilt that comes along with having a kid like Jackson. That's all I'm trying to get at, is there's so much mom guilt. And you just want to help him. But to get there, you have to learn how to help him. And sometimes there's only so much you can do. And it's hard to know that, like, we're limited. And this isn't me, by the way. This isn't like remotely me saying, hey, donate to Jackson's therapy, like, or Jackson's surgery. Like, please don't do that. I don't even want you to. That's not remotely what I'm trying to do. I'm venting. That's a big part of it. But also, I just know that I am not the only mom that feels this way. I know that I am not the only mom who is riddled by guilt and who dreads when a therapist comes over, because she's going to hear all of the things that she's doing wrong, and she's going to hear all of the things that she should be doing better, and she should be hearing all of the things that would help him but you can't do. Do you have any idea how hard it is to not be able to help your kid the way that you need to? It's so hard, and I try really hard to be optimistic, because I feel like I'm doing everything within my reach for Jax. And I feel like I'm doing a lot. And it sucks to know that there's more that I should be doing. There's more that I should have been already doing. And there's so much that I can't do. You want to do the puzzle? Wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. You put it in? I'm sorry that this was a lot of... I'm not sorry. This was a lot of tears. This was a lot of emotions. This was a lot of vulnerability. And I know that this video, it wasn't with like the scheduling that I've been doing recently, but I wanted to talk about it. Because I know that I'm not the only one that feels this way. And it's really a sucky feeling to think that it is. Or that you are. It's a really sucky feeling to feel like you're the only mom who feels this way.